Alrighty, welcome back to the J Center podcast. Owen Hill joined as always by Jesse Burrell. Jesse, it's come to an end. Our magical streak of 7 straight series victories has ended, as all good things must. Unfortunately, it was at the hands of the New York Yankees. Tough series. I'll admit it's kind of tough to watch. Kind of like, I don't know about you, but it kind of felt like the bubble burst a little bit in this one. I know in big picture, and that's what I want to keep the focus on is big picture here. It's not bad. We knew they were coming into a really tough 9-game stretch after they took 3 or 4 from the Red Sox. You had a series against the Yankees at home, and then you had to go to the Trop, fight the Demons, and then go to Yankee Stadium. A really tough 9-game stretch before the schedule lightens up, and you get to face all these wildcard teams that you're competing directly against, right? They went to this stretch, and they won 5, and they lost 4. That's above 500. We asked them to keep their heads above water, and they did that. You got to be satisfied, right?
Yeah, even though the Blue Jays lost a series here in the Bronx to the Yankees, normally I'd be upset about that, but I'm kind of with you, Owen. Like, out of all the series losses we've come up here and we've discussed about, I don't really have a bad feeling about this one. Particularly, it's because I kind of liked the way the Blue Jays played a large part of this series. Yes, there were a few small things here and there, and we'll get into it, but I don't think the sky is falling. We saw a lot of the good things in this series that helped the Blue Jays win 5 straight series in a row here. So I really feel okay. And big picture, you said the record. If you even include the series before that, it was 8-4 or 8-5, sorry, against all those good teams. Like, that's fine. Now I don't think we play a game of a team above 500 rest of the season. I'm really feeling good about this Toronto Blue Jays, and even though we lost this series, it doesn't take anything away from me here.
Yeah, it sounds like a whole lot of cope coming out of both of our mouths right now, but genuinely,
Yes.
I feel like I feel like this is fine. It's okay. Like you are not going to win every series down the stretch, and if you're going to lose a series, losing to a team that you're not directly competing against, I know it sounds weird saying that about the Yankees, who it kind of feels like the Jays are always directly competing with, but they're not. Like if we're going to face reality here, the Blue Jays are not going to be competing with the Yankees for the first or second wild card spot in the American League or the division. That's just not going to happen. So like this is a good one to kind of take. You get an off day on Mondays. I should know this. This is my job. You do get an off day on Monday. So
Yep.
like you get a nice little reset on Monday, and like you can really refocus and like finish this month really strong against the Kansas City Royals, who are playing well. But I think, to be honest, you've been playing better. And then you get this again super weak stretch, and I think they're in a good spot, Jesse.
Yeah, overall, I'm echoing a lot of the same sentiment here. Like, even in this series, game 1 that you lost 3-1, you only gave up 4 hits to the Yankees. They had an expected batting average of 172. Like, you run that game through the simulator, even though it's a Jays bullpen game against Cam Schlittler 100 times. Like, if the Blue Jays play the way they played there, they're going to do a little better. They'll hit a little better with runners in scoring position going forward. And, it seemed like a couple more hits with runners in scoring position was the difference between the Blue Jays winning a series and losing a series. And unfortunately, it just didn't come towards them in this series. And going forward, even though we're not saying like the theme of last episode was, I don't care how sustainable some of this stuff is, we're going to go for it. I feel like the way the Blue Jays played in this series, even though they lost, you're seeing a lot more of those sustainable signs, which give me so much hope that with this stretch coming up, the Blue Jays can play better and find a real path here to get into that wild card and start playing October baseball.
Okay, so this is going to be boring as fuck if it's just me and you saying, yeah, they're fine. They're fine. The Jays are okay.
Right.
So I'm going to do a little bit of this. And I think we got to, and it's a serious conversation. And I'm genuinely curious. Are you concerned that they scored just 8 runs in this 3-game series? You saw the bugaboos, the issues with runners in scoring position crop up again. The only power we kind of got a glimpse of was from Nathan Lucas. Like the fact that this New York Yankees team, and trust me, they're a really, really good team, but this pitching staff kind of shuts you down. And I get it. You saw the Cy Young favorite in Schlittler. You saw Ryan Weathers, who diced you last time, and you actually kind of looked way better against him. And Carlos Rodon making his second start off the IL. Like I like some of the at bats, but I really disliked a lot more. You know what I mean? And I think I'm just a little bit concerned that this offensive profile of this Blue Jays team right now is just like the lineup just feels super incomplete at times.
Yeah, if I had to pick one thing that I really want to see a little bit better at, it is in the power department from the Toronto Blue Jays. Like Nathan Lucas can't be your only guy hitting home runs as he was in this series. You do need to see a little more. Like take George Springer, for example, had a good series here. I think he was 8 for his last 16 at one point, but they were all singles. Like you'd like to see a little bit more power there. Think about how different some of these games would have been if we just had one Blue Jay hit one over the fence, right? Jesus Sanchez, who was supposed to be here for his power, if he could have got one over. Kaz, who's been on a bit of a power binge in that Rays series, if he put one over here in this series. You could go up and down the roster, list your examples. But if there's one thing that kind of takes this Blue Jays team from being a good, scrappy little group to being that team that can really go on a run and have offense carrying you, is going to be the power. But that doesn't surprise anybody, Owen. It's been one of the storylines for the course of the whole season. And, it's something that the Blue Jays could get a little bit better at going forward.
Yeah, the lack of power is not a new discussion. It's not something like we've just been like, yeah, like they're playing good, but they're not hitting for power. Like they just haven't hit for power all goddamn season. Like 124 homers. That's the third least in baseball so far this season, like only ahead of Cleveland and Milwaukee. And like the fact that Milwaukee is doing what they do with that little power is honestly just absurd to me. And it's insane how they continue to sustain that year over year. Good for them. Unfortunately, you're not built like Milwaukee, and like you're kind of like trending in that way. And like I really like a lot of the things that you can do. I think you have a lot of guys who on paper should be able to execute really well. Like I'm looking like at a Brett Bateman, like who has really impressed me with some really tough at bats. Even in the final game of this series, had a really, really tough at bat against Rodon with runners in scoring position. Maybe the base is loaded, and he got into a deep count and got a pitch he could handle and hit a sac fly deep to center field. Like that's the kind of stuff that's awesome. You love to see. I would love to see him hit a grand slam instead. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that's just not in his bag. And I love the fact that Charles McAdoo is like really fast in straight lines. That dude is a burner. Like his base running has been super impressive. Similar story with Miles Straw. Daz Cameron has added a little bit of athleticism to the roster. And I like what they're bringing. Unfortunately, there's just not a whole lot of like juice. There's no extra base hits there. And I know Daz it's in there. Like he can put one on the catwalk at the Trop. But you get the overall point.
Yeah, the Blue Jays are really good with the way their team is currently constructed. Like these guys at the bottom of the order, and you can add Bateman to the top. They're these very good bat on ball, put the ball in play, see what happens, get a rally started, get it sparked. But now you're really missing is the guys who could come in here and you can drive things in. And that was supposed to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, I don't want to turn this into a whole Vlad thing because we've been talking about it for literal months now on this show, and nothing really has changed except for the fact he took a 7-day break, came back, and looks a lot like the same Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But still, that is the one big thing that is missing. The Blue Jays have solved the scrappiness, the get on base. Miles Straw's out here getting a hustle double. They're on a bloop to left field. They're doing the good things, running first to third a lot. They're taking the extra bases. Little things we didn't see the Toronto Blue Jays do so well early in the season. They've been doing now, but it's getting these guys into that can drive people in with power that they're really, really missing. And, a lot of the guys who could do it are out. Addison Barger, Santander's not here. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not producing. Springer, et cetera, you name it.
Yeah,
but
it's Dalton Varsho you traded away too.
Right. Yes, it's all those names like that you were expecting power from that you haven't gotten, which the good news is, like, the guys are still here. There are guys that can swing it. We just need to see it happen before we really believe in this team as being a true playoff contender.
Yeah, it's the Vlad discussion. It's the fact that your best hitter right now, Alejandro Kirk, he flashed a little bit of power recently. Like we talked so much about how he was on this like massive heater, but it was all singles and walks, right? Like, and that's not even like a fast guy where he gets on base and then he's a threat to do something special. You know what I mean? Same deal with George Springer. You mentioned the stat where he's like got all these hits, but they're all just singles. They're all like just ground balls up the middle. Like, and it's not fun. I don't know. I don't love it.
Yeah, and even like think about the players that they have on the bench that they're running on the everyday basis. Like it's very rare to have one of these guys that can come in and hit you a home run, right? Like they don't have that guy. Davis Schneider was supposed to be that guy. He hasn't been that guy. There's no one really in there that too, if you just need a power bat, a power spark, you can get one. The Blue Jays really don't have that right now. And even in the farm, Sean Keyes might be the only option. And even then that's kind of tough. So, when you're down big at a big spot, the Blue Jays are still trying to, if they have to score 3, they're going to try to hit you 5 singles instead of hitting 1 big home run, which seems hard.
Yeah. If we're looking ahead, and I know this season, the focus is still this season, but if we're looking ahead to 2026, it's just what was the quote? Low hanging fruit. Ross Atkins called like power. Like
yes, I remember.
We need to pick some of that low hanging fruit. Like you're so desperate for it. And I know the prospect of having Addison Barger and Anthony Santander back for hopefully, knock on wood, a full season, as much as probably not many people actually genuinely believe in that next year. Like, yes, that would solve some of these power issues. Unfortunately, I think it's got to come from outside the organization. And there should be like room and money and like roster space to do that with George Springer expiring. There's just a very clear need in the outfield in that spot, and I think they're probably going to be pretty happy to move on from Jesus Sanchez. And anyways, a much larger discussion for probably 3 months from now. But I think that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I agree. And we've seen the Blue Jays in the past have tried to make those moves. Jesus Sanchez was supposed to be a better power hitter than he's currently been, right? So the Blue Jays will and have in the past make moves like this to try to improve it. They see what we all see watching this, Owen, is about this team needs a little bit more thump. So it will happen. It would just be real nice if we could get some surprise out there somewhere of someone who could just run into, let's say, 3 home runs in a week and really get things going. And the Blue Jays just, that's the one thing that we're missing, that if you could really poke your stick at or really drive into, that the Blue Jays need to get a little better.
Okay, so we saw, the one guy that can do that, I genuinely feel like on the roster right now, and like maybe you believe in George Springer doing it. Kirk just did it, so like Okamoto can do it. But the guy that you need to do it is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We saw him for the second 2 games of this series. Did you like anything you saw?
Well, he was running up the line a little bit. He did score a run. He had a nice slide in a home plate into game 2. I like that. But I felt like, and we talked about this a lot with Vlad, but the biggest thing with him has always been his swing decisions, right? And every series we have with Vlad, I keep looking at his swing decisions. Is he making good choices? Because he feels like he can hit everything. And because he thinks he can hit everything, sometimes he swings at pitches that aren't advantageous to him. And an example I want to say today was in game 3 today, we saw Daz Cameron hit a line drive to left. Then we saw Miles Straw and Charles McAdoo get on base. That was then the Brett Bateman sac fly that you talked about earlier. Vlad was up next with 2 guys on base. And, with the number 2 guy, he works a 2-0 count, which is great. And then he chases a fastball outside of the zone, a pitch that sure Vlad can hit, but it's not the best one to swing at. And then he gets a slider and he hits that weak chopper to first base unassisted. Now the Blue Jays are out of the inning. It's these little things that I really want to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. get better at. If he takes those pitches, he's in the driver's seat. He's at least passing the baton on to Alejandro Kirk, who's hitting up next, and you have a chance of getting a much bigger inning. My thought process is here, because he's doing this and because he wants to be the guy so bad, I think he's lacking confidence. I don't think he believes in himself right now, and he needs that big hit to fall in order for him to feel good about himself again. Because when Vlad is confident, Vlad is one of the best hitters in all of baseball, and I just don't think Vlad has the confidence right now, and he needs to see some good things happen in order for him to get that confidence back.
Yeah, I'm not going to diagnose his mental when it comes to these issues. I just so far beyond my understanding of the game of baseball, and everybody's different. Every hitter's different. Every player is different. Vlad, the people that run the Blue Jays thought you were worth $500 million. I feel like that should be all the confidence you need forever. No, I don't know. If it's a confidence issue, we need some sport therapy doctors, or not sport therapy, mental performance coaches in there or something. That can't be the excuse. I don't know what it is. And this is kind of why I kind of balk at having this conversation. Me personally, I can diagnose what I'm seeing with my eyes. And yeah, it's him turning a lot of advantage counts, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1 counts into 3-2, 2-2, 1-2 counts. And then him hitting the ball weakly, a pitcher's pitch, and putting that in play and making outs because of it. And I don't know why. I don't know what is causing this. I've never seen him do this in his career for this extended of a stretch. And I don't know. I think there's still a chance that this extended time off has been good for him. We did see him pick up 2 hits in the first game he played in game 2. And I believe he had at least one or other hit in the final game of the series as well. Right. So steps forward. He hit a ball really hard off Rodon. I know that for sure, 108. Unfortunately, died in the outfield. But I think there's steps forward. I think it still has to be better, though, obviously.
Yes, and Carlos Rodon, Vlad has owned Carlos Rodon throughout the course of his career. I think he was hitting 600 off him or something ridiculous going through there. And that line drive in the first at bat was really good. So it's probably a bit of that. It's probably the injuries too. It's going with it. It's probably a little bit of everything, right? Maybe he's feeling the pressure of having to live up to that $500 million now. Who knows? We've seen this in sports, and not even just in baseball. The first year after the guy gets their big money, they struggle, right? It could be something with that. Who knows? It could be a lot of things going on with Vlad. Maybe he's got issues off the diamond that we're not thinking about, that the public's not going to know about. We don't know what it could be. It could be a little bit of everything. But at the end of the day, this is your job. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr., like, I understand baseball's hard, but we know you can do it. There's long series of track records of you being able to do it. And, credits for the rest of the Blue Jays for at least having themselves in a fighting position without Vlad doing this. But if Vlad gets hot, Owen, and he gets on one of these heaters, this Blue Jays team is scary again. And until that happens, this Blue Jays team is kind of going to be what it is, the scrappy group that fights and claws to try to get runs across.
Have you given up hope that Vlad is going to figure it out this season?
You know what? Honestly, Owen, it depends on what day you ask me. Right now, I'm feeling optimistic. I'm feeling like there's still a chance in there. I'm feeling it coming to happen. But you poll several Blue Jays fans, a lot of them would probably be on the side that, like, no, they're done. He's cooked. Shut him down. I've even seen people say that, like, the Blue Jays are better with Vlad's not in the lineup, and I'm not ready to buy that yet.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know either. I think with Vlad, obviously the most important thing is not this season. This is a season you sold at the deadline, like you kind of gave up on if you're the Blue Jays. Like the most important thing is the next 13 years of this deal. There's a lot more runway ahead than behind him. And what do they say? There's a reason that the windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror. I think that is kind of my focus with Vlad. So it's not that I've given up on the rest of the season, but I think if it comes out in 2027 in April and March and it starts to look like this and like he has a tough spring training, then you start to be like, Jesus, like we got to have a serious conversation.
Oh, and I've never heard that quote, the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror. I kind of like it. I dig it. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we'll take just that. In all seriousness, we're going to get something when the season is over. We're going to get, whether it's Vlad's going to have a surgery on his back or something, or he'll have quotes from his camp. We'll have quotes from the front office that we're just not going to have in the general public right now. And we'll get all of that later. A big mental reset is probably good. But yeah, I agree. I don't think any of us listening, and if you're listening to the J Center podcast, you're probably a well-informed baseball knower. I don't think anyone thinks this is going to be the start of the end for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. This is more likely probably just one of his worst seasons until he gets late into his career. But, you never like seeing this at his age 27 season, which is supposed to be one of the best of your career, from your $500 million superstar.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. Like this guy was on Hall of Fame paces. And there's just no precedent for this kind of fall off. Anyways, we can kind of turn the page in this conversation. Maybe do a little bit of game by game, break down this series a little bit more thoroughly. But I think that is a nice little bird's eye view. Do you have any more big picture stuff before we get granular?
Yeah, just one more thing and file it in this is weird and I have no data to back that up, but the Blue Jays lost the finale here against the Yankees on a Sunday. The Jays haven't won a game on a Sunday in over 6 weeks. So I don't know what you take with that information. Yeah, I don't know what you do with that, but that needs to change as well.
They're partying too hard on Saturday nights, man.
Yeah, I guess so. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know there's nothing you can do with that information. That's just I think one of those weird baseball fluky things, right? Hopefully.
That's it. Let's go to our first break and let's go game by game here.
Yeah, alrighty. Let's take this first break. We're going to take this break and then go pretty much game by game. We're going to talk about game one of the series, Cam Schlittler versus who started game one for the Jays?
Fluharty.
All right. It was the bullpen day. Another Fluharty a bullpen day versus Schlittler. Yankees changed up their strategy. We'll talk about that after this break. Coming right up. Alrighty, back from the break. Owen Hill and Jesse Burrell on the Jays Center podcast. Jesse, game one of the series, we saw the Blue Jays lack of offense rear its ugly head. We saw a very precedented matchup, like round 3 or 4 of Schlittler versus bullpen. And this time the Yankees switched up their strategy a little bit. They loaded up the righties against Fluharty in the first inning. Didn't quite pay off from them, but they did end up getting to Spencer Arrighetti in the second inning. They forced him to come in a little bit early. Do you like this kind of cat and mouse game? Because I saw the Yankees lineup come out. I was like, that is so interesting.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. Goldschmidt, Rosario, and Ramos 1, 2, 3, and then followed by a ton of lefties down later in the lineup. Usually what we've seen, and we saw this when the Blue Jays had their last opener game, they went with their opener, and then they actually brought in another reliever before their bulk guy. I think last time it was Simeon Woods Richardson. This time it was
Tiedemann.
Yeah, Tiedemann came in to face a packet of lefties coming in before the bulk guy came in, right? So I thought this screamed perfectly for this here, right? So Fluharty comes in, he struggled with his command a little bit, left some guys on base. Blue Jays were able to get out of it, and then I thought they might turn to they're Braden Fisher or somebody else, some right-handed option out of the pen, or sorry, left-handed option out of the pen, like maybe you're Brendan Little or something like that.
Well, it
Or
was Salucci that was on the roster, right?
or Salucci. Yeah, I think he was still there for game one. So I thought
Yeah.
maybe to give him a look there and whatnot. Then you turn to Arrighetti to face those packet of righties, but he went straight into those right-handed hitters. Maybe he liked the matchup with Arrighetti against the lefties. I'm not exactly sure what it was. Maybe he wanted to make sure he got some length and he got that pitch count up because he was set to make about 50 pitches. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but that surprised me that he went right to Arrighetti after the opener, after he went 2 openers per se last time they were in this situation.
Yeah, so weird. I think it was to me, it was mostly just interesting that the Yankees were like, we suck at facing these bullpen days. The Jays have kind of owned us in these. Let's make an adjustment. And they did the thing where they like planned their lineup based on the actual quote unquote starting pitcher in Fluharty rather than the bulk guy in Arrighetti. And I just thought that was intriguing, at least that Aaron Boone was self-aware enough to do that. And I think, to be honest, I think I kind of have a hot take for a Jays podcast. I kind of love Aaron Boone. Is Aaron Boone not like one of the coolest dudes in baseball?
Oh, and I have an urge to boo you mercifully off the screen right now. So
I feel like I should have whispered
but
that.
Go on. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Aaron Boone. I think just the way he's sitting there with the glasses, he goes to war for his guys. I don't know. I think he's kind of sick. Anyways, what do you think of Arrighetti in this one? Can I be honest? I kind of hated it.
Then intrigued, because I'm leaving it feeling kind of positive a little bit. What did you hate about his appearance here?
I felt like it was similar to the Soriano experience today, which I've got thoughts on when we get to game 3 of this series. Trust me. It felt like just a lot of uncompetitive pitches. Like he's in counts and he's like 1-2, and then he's trying to get Chase, and he's trying really hard to get Chase, and he's a little bit scared to get beat in the zone, and then ends up at 3-2, and then ends up having to come to the hitter and like gets hit kind of hard. I don't know. I didn't love it. I didn't like the 2 walks in 3 1/3 innings. I didn't like the home run he gave up. Probably a foul ball. But
definitely a foul ball, if you ask me. But go on.
Yeah, but that ball was pissed on. It was crushed.
Sure.
And it was an awful pitch. So, like I don't know. I think when you throw a pitch like that, you maybe deserve to give up a homer. No.
I guess, but I would make the argument he fooled him just enough, got him out in front, and a good strike if you ask me. But anyways, that's not what happened. The umpires ruled it a home run, so be it. If you really wanted to be,
if you're listening on the podcast, you would pay to see the face I just made at Jesse.
I'm grasping at straws here, trying to defend my boy Arrighetti. But You're right. All those points you made make a lot of sense. There's a mental battle between pitching and executing, and maybe he was trying a little too hard. Try to make a good debut in his first appearance here, trying to make that good first impression, which matters so much when we're going around here. But I liked a lot of the stuff when I saw under the hood. I could see how Spencer Arrighetti can be a very dominant starter in this league. I can see how the sinker can run in. I can see how he's coming from that low arm slot. That sweeper and that curveball both look very good and can be very effective pitches for him. I could see the recipe for success for hammering that fastball at the top of the zone. It just didn't happen here in this start. Yeah. I could see how it all can come together. So there is a blueprint there. I'm a sucker for upside. I still think Spencer Arrighetti has more upside than he's let on.
I agree. I think there is enough upside in there where I'm at least interested. I don't know. I think I'm just a little bit less high on him kind of from the start. I think that is maybe the thing. Like I think I kind of was one of those people that I was like looking at it. I'm like, this guy's the only organization he's ever known is the Astros. He's a hometown kid. Like he's been really good for them, and they're willing to give him up for Dalton Varsho, who's been awful this season and showed no signs of turning it around. I'm like maybe the Astros think they've gotten all they can out of Arrighetti. That was kind of the perspective I took from it. I know a lot of people, and you were one of these people that was like, oh, this guy was the pitcher of the month in May, or the AL pitcher of the month in May. Like he's been really, really good. He's been dominant at times, and the stuff is really good. And I'll give you that. Like it is. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical on it. I just wanted to see him be healthy. I need to see a little bit of extended runway, and he's got that. And I think as much as the rest of the season is like we are all in on the Blue Jays making this third wild card spot and making the playoffs, the important thing still is to know what you have for 2027. And knowing what you have in Arrighetti is very important.
I agree. And I will say, too, the plan for him coming in was to try to get him to about 50 pitches. He actually worked up to 60 pitches in this start. So the Blue Jays are going to kind of let him go. And if you want to look at the velocity, which is never that big for Arrighetti, but it started up at 93. It got down to 91 as the game went on. So his velocity was dropping, dare I say, rapidly as the start went on. So that's worth monitoring, too, as he tends to get stretched out further, probably at his next appearance here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm paying attention. I'm willing to accept him being good. Like, I'm not calling him dead. I'm not asking for him to be DFA'd. I'm not saying there's nothing in there. I'm just a little bit less optimistic, especially after getting my actual eyes on it, right?
Yeah, it makes sense, and I can see how you can come to that conclusion. 6 up, 6 down to start before he gave up the what was it, a walk and then the home run, right? Yankees only got 4 hits altogether. He only allowed 4 hard hit balls against it so there's a mixed bag, some good, some bad, and the jury is definitely still out on Arrighetti.
Yeah, I think the real pain point here is the fact that you lost a game in which you only gave up 4 hits to the other team.
Yes.
I think that's the real problem. And we already kind of did the offensive discussion, right? Like, it is what it is. You score your only run on an Alejandro Kirk like round ball single. I don't know. I think just another tough one from the offense. Do you know what they were with runners in scoring position in this one? I know it was dreadful, but
I was just about to look that up. I want to say like 2 for 14 or something crazy. It was a lot.
Yeah, one of the games was awful. I'm pulling it up right now. If you want to entertain the people.
Yes.
1 for 14. 1 for 14.
Yes.
There you go.
Which, you say 2 things. You can say, 1, if they got 1 more hit there, they win that game easily. 2, I look at it, you had 14 guys in runners in scoring position. Like, that's good. Good offensive teams get that many at-bats with runners in scoring position. If you do that on a consistent night against Cam Schlittler, might I add, then you're going to be in a good spot to have some success. So I'm overall taking it as a little bit of a positive here.
Yeah, what'd you think of Schlittler in the Cy Young race? I thought he had like really good stuff, but the Blue Jays made his life miserable. Like 3 walks, 6 hits. They like had him in tough counts all night. I thought they did everything but land the knockout blow.
Yeah, and I agree. And Cam Schlittler was throwing up a lot of fastballs. I found he didn't really throw his sinker much, especially early in the game too, which we've seen quite a bit of Cam Schlittler over the last little bit too. I thought it was kind of interesting. I thought the Blue Jays actually had a very good approach. I think they were picking up that cutter a little bit more, and it seemed like a lot of their swings were just missing the barrel. Like Kaz had a fastball that he roped to center field, just missed the barrel, that was gone. Jesus Sanchez, which ironically had 2 hits after we were just bashing him all of last series in game 1 here, but he had one where he just missed it too. There were a few good swings I had thought too. Brett Bateman was a home run away from a cycle here. Like, they were doing some good stuff all around against Cam Schlittler, and I like the Blue Jays approach. It goes back to something we said a few episodes ago, where the Blue Jays just seem to be, the way they are currently constructed, really good against these pitchers who have really good stuff, and they proved it again here against Schlittler.
Yeah, I think I think they match up just really well against Schlittler, just because, and I've talked about this before, I don't have to go too deep on it, but because it's all fastballs. The dude's only goal is to just blow heat by you or get you to swing over a cutter. That is his only goal. And you are just built to put the ball in play and be on plane with fastballs. And I think that's why the Blue Jays kind of see him so well. Like Brett Bateman, I kind of love that he's a really good matchup and he sees the ball really well against Schlittler. I'll say that. Like, that makes me kind of excited for the future. I don't know. Yeah, I think I wish you could have helped your boy Cease out here and hung up 4 or 5 runs on him in 4 or 5 innings. Fortunately, Cam Schlittler is a good pitcher, a really good pitcher.
Do you have anything about the delayed start to this game? I don't know if we ever figured out why that happened, but this was supposed to be a 7:05 start time. It didn't start till 7:11 because Cam Schlittler wasn't coming out. Do you have anything to this?
I have nothing to it other than the fact that Cam Schlittler is weird. He kind of, I don't know, bad vibes from Cam Schlittler. He's kind of in the Garrett Cole vein for me. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's Yankees, but I don't love him.
Yeah, well, you and your boy Aaron Boone can go and discuss that and see if we can hear.
But Aaron Boone's not. Aaron Boone. So I have a lot of time for Aaron Boone. Don't tell me if Aaron Boone was on the market as a manager right now, you wouldn't be knocking out
1,000%. I'm just joshing with you a little
bit.
He's
the man.
Guy. I get it. Yeah, sure. Okay, Yankees fans, don't clip that one and post it around because that won't be good for us. But,
no, it won't.
Okay. Anything else you saw from game 1 here in this series? Blue Jays had their chances. We saw some good relief outing. Simeon Woods Richardson struck out the side. We had a good Paul Sewald inning. Braden Fisher, Brendan Little all pitched well coming out of relief. Or anything else that you saw here in this game that you liked?
No, I don't think. Unfortunately, you wasted it. That's the thing. Is you held the New York Yankees. You held them to 3 runs on 4 hits. You should win that baseball game 10 times out of 10, and you didn't. And unfortunately, it all comes back down to the offense.
All right, then we can turn the page to game 2 then, which was a much more fun game from the Blue Jays perspective. The bats got going. Dylan Cease looked good. It got hairy, and it got hairy quick, but ultimately the Blue Jays got out of the game here. What'd you like from game 2 here?
Well, I like that, like, you needed to win one game in the series. Pretty much the only
Mhm.
unacceptable result here would have been getting swept, and you had your guy on the mound, Dylan Cease, and you won the game that you're supposed to win. This is the one that you had to get, and you got it. And I think that big picture, that is really, really, really good. Dylan Cease, I think, probably had some of the worst stuff of the season. And you look up, you blink, you walk away for 1 second, and he's like through 6 no-hit innings. And I
Mhm.
think it's just like absurd. And like it was kind of like similar to Arrighetti, where just so many counts where he's up in, and then he like just has no idea. It's a lot of uncompetitive pitches, so many deep counts. 5 walks in this one was like horrendous. Like he was not fun to watch here. Like there was just guys on base all day, and then you look up and they can't touch him. It was crazy.
Yeah, I had the same thought too watching Dylan Cease. He walked the leadoff batter of the game. He walked the leadoff hitter of the second inning as well. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, Dylan Cease is really laboring here. And then all of a sudden they're talking about, oh, Dylan Cease hasn't allowed a hit yet. And I'm looking at my scorebook and I'm going, what? How is this possible? But it's true. It was. And Dylan Cease just seems to have this uncanny ability to just not allow any hits. And that's probably why we've seen so many near no hit bids from Dylan Cease going into this season. But it's like, I found this Dylan Cease start was a lot of the earlier season Dylan Cease starts where he just felt like he had to strike out every single batter all the time, and he was gunning
Mhm.
really hard to get it. We saw the pitch count get elevated and stuff and whatnot here in this one too, and we saw a good stretch probably towards the middle to the end half where he was starting to become more efficient to get deeper into his games. And, he threw 111 pitches in what is 6 innings. Was it? Did he get into the seventh?
6 and 2/3.
6 2/3 in this game, which was still a little too high from what you want, especially for a guy who said after the game, he's like, it's August. I'm hurting a little bit here. Like I'm feeling it a little bit. And, the Blue Jays, I think would love to try to find a way to get Dylan Cease a little bit more rest, but they simply just can't right now.
Yeah, off day tomorrow's big. The fact that he's going to get
Yes.
to pitch on 5 days rest instead of 4, that is big for his next time out. I think this one was on 5 days rest instead of 4 as well, if I'm not mistaken. You can verify that for me if you want, and not that it matters all that much. Anyways, yeah, the fact that his velo's down is concerning, and we're talking about the pitch count getting up to 111, and the fact that so many of these guys were walks. And they're on base, but not just are they like getting on first base and sitting still, like they're stealing bases and getting into scoring position, or
Yep.
they're advancing on ground balls to the right side or sac flies or and whatnot. Runners in scoring position. It like these pitches are stressful, and he does have to strike out so many hitters to make sure that these runs don't come across, these base runners don't score. And like 111 pitches is one thing for a guy who is just an absolute workhorse like Dylan Cease. If like he's cruising to 111 pitches, not a lot of traffic, not having to rear back for extra to finish innings and finish off hitters. But he really had to fight in this one. And there was many times where I'm like, he's sitting 94, 95, but he reaches back for 97 or 98 in the 2-strike count because he needs it.
Yes, I agree. And we saw quite a bit of that here in this series. I'm glad you brought up the stolen base thing against Dylan Cease, because we talked about this a lot with Jeff Hoffman when he was here about how anytime a guy got on first, he was automatically going up to second. There was twice where Alejandro Kirk couldn't even get a throw down to second base. And that's something that's going to be a problem, because there's a difference between throwing 111 pitches when you're kind of just cruising and going through that, or if those 111 pitches are high stress, they take a lot of mental energy and stuff. They do affect the body differently. And we had a lot of high stress pitches for Dylan Cease in this start, which is something that if the Blue Jays, want to be their best team going forward, they're going to have to find a way to help with Dylan Cease. I did pull up the numbers on games rest, unless you wanted to comment on the pitch count thing there.
No, what's the rest?
Okay, on 5 days rest, when Dylan Cease gets it, he has thrown now. Keep in mind, he's very good all the time. All these numbers are great. But when he gets 5 days rest, he throws for a 2.03 ERA on the season in his 8 starts. When it's 4 days, it's 2.63. So both are still phenomenal, very good. But he has been better when getting 5 days rest versus when he gets 4 days rest on the season.
Passes the eye test, does it not?
It does. It sure does. So numbers back it up too. And like the quality of contact stuff too. Like he's given up a 466 OPS when he has 5 days rest versus a 540 on 4 days rest. So less base runners, less damage as well.
Yeah, probably his body feels better. His mechanics probably feel smoother. Like it makes a lot of sense. In this one, you mentioned it getting super hairy. It got super hairy when Tyler Rogers gave up his first home run of the season. He finally got. Luckily, you had built up a huge 3-run lead. You scored so many runs in this one. You got all the way to 4. And you needed all of them because Tyler Rogers giving up that homer, was that scary or what?
Yeah, I was really starting to believe that Tyler Rogers would never allow a home run ever again in his life, and so I'm very devastated that that dream has now been broken for me. It was hurt when he gave up the first barrel of the season. Now he's given up his first home run. So I guess Tyler Rogers is human, but it was bound to happen anyway at one point. But credit to Louis Varland, who even though the Jazz Chisholm leadoff double was able to get 2 more strikeouts and seal the win, it was incredible. And there's probably been Blue Jays teams of past that would have let that go. But once again, the Blue Jays had a lead late. It's been Spencer Miles, Tyler Rogers, Louis Varland, the 3 guys to go out and get it to the end. And it was hairy, but they got the job done here again.
Yeah, man, we're so lucky with this bullpen. I love the 3 guys at the back end of this bullpen. Spencer Miles is the man. Tyler Rogers is so fun. And like the fact that he can give up this homer and like, I don't think it changes a thing, does it? Like,
no,
I don't think of him any differently, obviously. And Louis Varland is the man. It's a fun back end.
I agree. And the Blue Jays really have their A bullpen and their B bullpen. And when you get to see the A bullpen come out when they're winning, it does start to get that feeling like all you really need is a 2-run lead late and you're going to be okay.
Yeah, you listen to Blair and Barker on Sportsnet, and like Kevin Barker all the time like talks about turning it into a little league game. And what he means by that is like if you have a lead or you're in a tie game, if you have a lead after 6 or 7 innings, you turn it into a little league game because those games are only 6 or 7 innings because you're not scoring off those 3 guys at the back end of the back end of your bullpen at least. And I think the Blue Jays are as close to that as I've seen from a Jays team in a while.
Yeah, it makes sense. I can't really remember the last time the Blue Jays had at least 2 or 3 multiple shutdown dominant relievers like this in the back end of the game.
Well, last year was Louis Varland, Jeff Hoffman, and Seranthony Dominguez. Like those were your 3. Those were the 3 guys you trusted out of the bullpen with Mason Fluharty in the playoffs, right?
I think I'll take this year's pen over last year's pen.
Even with the subtraction of Jeff Hoffman?
Jeff Hoffman was really, really good. If we still had Jeff Hoffman here, then I'd be like, holy crap, this is unbelievable. But
the casual Jays fans just tuned right out right there. But yeah.
They don't know.
totally
Jeff Hoffman,
agree.
Actually good, but
Don't name search Jeff Hoffman on Twitter unless you're comfortable with Twitter, because Minnesota Twins fans, they don't like him at all.
Had a feeling that one would be coming through here, but yes, I agree. Look, it makes a good point though, right? With how dominant the back end of this Blue Jays this bullpen can be, it allows you to use guys like Mason Fluharty or Braden Fisher early. It allows them to be these first guys out of the pen. The Blue Jays bullpen is surprisingly pretty deep, and it's just been a rotation through the back end of these guys now. Like, Ricky Tiedemann probably deserves to be a big leaguer right now, but they just can't find a spot for him right now, right? Like, Simeon Woods Richardson has been actually quite good since he's been coming to a Toronto Blue Jay, and he's probably your last man in the bullpen right now. Like it's been really, really good, and that has been the saving grace that has kept the Blue Jays afloat, and also does give me hope if we can get into a playoff spot with our starters at the front and how deep our bullpen can be, that this Blue Jays team, if we can find a way to sneak into that 3rd wildcard spot, could actually go on a run again.
Yeah, totally agree. Do you have much else from this game, or can I just read out the RISP stats?
It was good to see a lot of the hits here from the Toronto Blue Jays. We saw.
Keep in mind before I let Jesse say this, keep in mind that they all came with nobody on base or with the runner at first base, and none of them were with runners in scoring position. Anyways, continue.
15 hits, a 311 expected batting average. They really got to Ryan Weathers. They put the pressure on him early, a guy who just shut you down a week prior. So it was good to see the Blue Jays make the adjustment to getting a second look at him in a week, and was able to put some pressure and some damage on it too. And I want to add too, not only did they have 15 hits, but they had 15 hard hit balls, which is not something you typically see from a Toronto Blue Jays team. So they were hitting the ball well. They were hitting the ball hard. They deserve to score more than 4 runs in this game.
Yeah, I think that's the big point. You kind of touched on it there, is the fact that they made the adjustment against Ryan Weathers. Ryan Weathers kind of like bent you over and like gave you a spanking last time.
Yeah.
You saw him, and he had a really tough time against you here. And I think that was the most encouraging part. Again, no power, and it turned into 4 for 18 with runners in scoring position. All those hard hit balls, none of them falling when there are runners in scoring position. It's just frustrating. That's life, unfortunately. Like, that was the kind of the story of this series. Missed opportunities cost you in the final game of the series as well. Like that game maybe could have been a lot more comfortable. Kind of felt like the Blue Jays should have been up 4 or 5-0 a couple times instead of like 2-0 or 1-0. Like, so that's the story. That's how it went.
I agree. Nothing else to add there. I'm probably forgetting something, but who cares? We can move past that now, and then we can get a look at this third game.
Yeah, man. Let's take this final break. We're going to touch on the
Okay,
third game. We're going to do the series preview. Kansas City Royals coming to town. So we're at the stretch of the season where this stuff is finally starting to matter again. And like, you're playing teams that you have to beat. So like we went from keep your head above water time to let's start swimming some laps here. Let's make up some time. And I think lots of that conversation on the other side of this break. We'll talk in a second. Alrighty, back for the final segment of the J Center podcast. Owen Hill and Jesse Burrell. Jesse, I alluded to it. I think we're going to touch on this final game in this series here. A tough one. Kind of, I think closer than the final score would indicate, kind of like got out of hand late. And you mentioned like A bullpen and B bullpen. And I think this is what happens when you are losing after those 5 or 6 innings and you get the B bullpen. Braden Fisher kind of like looked like he was a little bit out of gas there. And Mason Fluharty, like he was solid, but gave up a hit. And then Brendan Little, like, I don't know. I don't have much else time for Brendan Little. You saw even Simeon Woods Richardson, who's been so good, get burned as well. And I think it's a tough one. It ends up being an 8-3 loss. José Soriano kind of looked like shit. Just like another super frustrating game.
Yeah, I think the B in B bullpen stands for Brendan Little, actually, is the take I want to make here, who struggled. But
yeah.
I think the main talking point in this game is José Soriano. So we do need to get into his start. This is the third one now, I believe, we've seen as a Toronto Blue Jay, maybe 4. It all time just blends together, Owen. But this
4,
one, yeah.
I think.
Yeah, we saw more of the same. A lot of hard hit balls against him. He did strike out 7, which is, if you're looking for a positive, which is his most as a Toronto Blue Jay so far. He had 2 earned runs allowed late until all 3 of his inherited runners scored. So the whole line could have looked a little different there. But even then, 3 walks, 7 hits allowed, 10 base runners in 5+ innings is not a recipe for success, no matter how much you look at that. And I found too, Owen, it was a lot of the same stuff that we saw coming out of that Rays series where he was falling behind early. You know, he was trying too cute to get that strikeout, get that punch out. And it's just some uncompetitive at bats. And, you know, the stuff is there. You can see it still, but I'm starting to feel a little uneasy, I suppose is the word, about José Soriano. How do you feel?
Well, I was going to ask you, am I allowed to be a little bit cranky, a little bit frustrated with this yet? Because he looked, like I said, he looked like shit. I wasn't like joking. Like he looked awful. He did not look good at all. And 7 strikeouts is very quiet. 7 strikeouts. And they all came with runners on base. And like there was guys on base. It was 3 walks and 7 hits. That's not very good to have a 2 whip like that. And like, yeah, he got burned by the inherited runners. So the final line looks pretty bad. But like José Soriano did not come here. You did not give up Arjun Amala for 5 and dive José Soriano. You gave up Arjun Amala so you could get the really good version of him. And I know this was a 2027 trade at the time. And like, we don't get to move the goalposts and say, well, no, now it needs to be a 2026 trade. But this guy's been damn fucking good in 2026, right? So I think, I don't know. That's just kind of my thing. Like, am I allowed to be frustrated with this yet?
I think you can, maybe because part of it is expectations are so high for José Soriano that we expected a lot from him, and there is still more to come. And keep in mind, José Soriano is not a finished project yet, so bear with all that in mind with the caveat. But we did at some point, need to expect results. And I'm looking here at the player breakdowns on Baseball Savant of this game, and you're looking at a 21% whiff rate. Okay, it's like slightly below league average, but it's fine. It's okay. It'll play, especially for a guy who's supposed to get a ton of ground balls. But if you're looking even further, like he only had 14 called strikes out of his 100 pitches he threw here. Like you need to see a little better number than that. So basically what I'm gathering from reading that statistic is that the pitches were nowhere close. They were easy takes for the other team to take, or they were at pitches they felt like they could take a swing at and do attack with. And that's probably what the issue was here. So whether that's you need to do a better job of tunneling your pitches, you need to disguise them well, or location just needs to be a little bit better from José Soriano to add more called strikes to your swings that you get against you is how you're going to be a better pitcher. And a lot of pitches over the middle of the plate, and especially early in this start for Soriano.
Yeah, it comes down to location. That's the laziest analysis you can do when it comes to pitchers. Is it was too many pitches whenever a guy's a bad start, it is always the same formula. It's too many pitches over the middle, and then the pitches that weren't over the middle were too far away to induce swings and misses. And like it's uncompetitive pitches and then like just the most obvious meatball you've ever seen in your life. And that's a bad formula. And unfortunately, I've seen kind of a lot of that from José Soriano so far.
Yeah, but like sometimes the lazy analysis is lazy because it's true. It's the same thing with cliches we spit all the time. Sometimes it's true, and sometimes it is that simple. You know, get ahead, get attack, put them away when you can. Right? Don't throw so many waste pitches, or if you're not finding it, find a pitch where you can find it. And José Soriano didn't have that here, and I think it's a little more worrisome too because this is now 2 starts in a row. We've seen this from José Soriano, and we don't want this to become a trend going forward.
Yeah, you're relying on him big time. If you are going to make this wild card push that like you have put yourself in the conversation of, like you need him to be good because your starting rotation is not deep beyond him.
Yeah, Dylan Cease has been worked a lot, right? So we'd like to find a way to get some rest from him. And, Shane Bieber's looked better lately, but there's still some question marks in there. We just had a talk about Arrighetti, how, there's still work to be done there. And then, it's Max Scherzer, who, it is what he is at this point in the game. So yeah, if the Blue Jays are ever going to get in there and make a run, José Soriano being good might be the second player behind Vlad of who needs to really be good down the stretch here for the Blue Jays team to reach the playoffs here.
Yeah, at least like the guys that you want to see more from. Like it's 1 and 2 is 1A and 1B. I guess Vlad is 1A, obviously. Maybe it's just 1 and 2. Like Soriano like is fine. Like it was fine. But like that's the kind of start like I'd expect for Max Scherzer or Spencer Arrighetti. Like that's the bullpen day start. That's okay on those kind of days, but it's not okay on like José Soriano day.
Yeah, we need to start to see flashes at least of the dominant José Soriano, the guy we saw at the start of the year for the Angels that like nobody could get a hit off of. We need to see that guy is still in there, and I'd like to see it sooner rather than later. Next start coming against Seattle might be a good chance to see that.
Yeah, that offense sucks. Would love to see that. Can I just read out the runners in scoring position stats for this one? It's just 1 for 9.
I was going to say, should I plug my ears first? But trigger. Like, yeah. But look, for what it's worth, the Blue Jays did get out hit 11-5, which is never good. But they did have an expected batting average of 288 compared to the 237 the Yankees had. So if you're looking for stuff that might be more sustainable, the Blue Jays were okay. And a well-balanced attack all across the lineup. 6 of the 9 hitters who got into the game here had multiple hard hit baseballs. It was pretty good. We saw 2 good hits from Miles Straw in this one. So we saw like Daz Cameron smoke a ball. We saw Brett Bateman have that sac fly. The Blue Jays were doing some good things. Even Vlad in his 0-for-4 did hit 2 balls relatively hard. So there are some signs here that the Blue Jays offense has been doing good things and will do more things going forward, especially against the subpar Royals series. So I'm leaving this, even though we lost the game, as the offense has shown some good things here.
Yeah, I think that's what there is to take away from it. And again, like this series wasn't about going in and like slapping the Yankees in the face. Like it would have been awesome. We would have come on here yelling and screaming and been like, holy shit,
yeah.
like this team, like we would have used the B word, and you know what the B word is.
It's not Brendan Little, by the way.
No, it's not Brendan Little, but like we would have been using that, to be honest, if the Jays had gone in and slapped the Yankees around. Unfortunately, not the conversation we get to have. Much more realistic conversation here. A tough one, man. I don't know. I don't have like crazy thoughts. I'm not ready to like this. Like the overall point is like none of my thoughts on this team and what they had to do down the stretch have changed. We asked them to go 4-5 or 5-4 in the stretch of 9 games, and that's what they did.
Yeah, perfect. And I think looking back big picture, you've got to like what you see, even though we had that loss from the Yankees here. I think this is okay. Keep in mind, Yankees are a good team, right? Just got Cody Bellinger back. They have guys that can stick it. Spencer Jones looks like he's going to be a dude. George Lombard, even though he's playing defense like Volpe at shortstop now, which no one's really talking about, but he's still a guy with tons of talent. Like the Yankees are a good team. You held your own against a good team. Like if we get matched up with the Yankees again in the playoffs, I do think the Blue Jays could find a way to overcome them once again.
Yeah, we took a tough loss in this series, but trust me, there will be George Lombard and Spencer Jones slander pods in the future. I can guarantee you that. That can get the Owen Hill guarantee. We'll be slandering them soon.
Owen Hill, I cannot wait for that podcast. That sounds fun. I'll get my notes going ready here now. Before we get on some rapid fire stuff, we got an extended look at Daz Cameron in this series now. What have you seen from him? Do you like what you've seen? Like, are you counting him as like an active, real good contributor on this team now?
So he had one of the at-bats with the bases loaded, and I actually really liked what I saw. He got into a deep count, and similar to Bateman, got a pitch he could handle, hit a deep fly ball to center field, sac fly. And
Mhm.
I think that was really, really good. I like that he can hit the ball hard. I think there's, again, like probably just a little bit too much swing and miss, but like at least it's a little different. It's a little bit of a different profile. He does something that not a lot of guys on your team do. He hits a little bit differently. I think it's pretty fundamentally sound. I liked what I've seen from him in the outfield so far. Hell of an upgrade over Jesus Sanchez, at least at the bare minimum. So yeah, I like it. Do you have like real thoughts, or like I like obviously I need more of a run weight before I form a real opinion.
Yeah, we need to see more. Baseball's not a game of small sample sizes, but he's passing the first test. He's going to continue to get a little bit of an extended look here. I like that he feels like one of these guys that's going, if we're looking for Blue Jays players that can hit for some more power, I do feel like Daz Cameron is one of them. The bat speed has been one of the better ones on the team. We're seeing him make good pitches. And I feel like the Blue Jays at times have really struggled against fastballs. That's one thing Daz Cameron can do. He can still rip a fastball. So I like that, and I'd like to see him get more of a run, especially against lefties, especially against guys who are fastball heavy, like Noah Cameron, who we're going to see in this series. So I like that for Daz Cameron.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I think it's super intriguing. I like to see him play, especially against lefties, like be in the lineup. And he will be. He's going to get opportunities. He's playing that Davis Schneider role right now. And yeah, I want to see more of it at least.
Yes, and I did want to do another check-in too on Jesus Sanchez, who after the dreadful series against Tampa, we saw him be the designated hitter in game 1 of the series. Credit to him. He got 2 hits, did not play in the next 2 games of the series. Part of that might have been back-to-back lefties, Ryan Weathers and Carlos Rodon, but I don't think it was an accident. He was DH when he was in the lineup in game 1. Do you think we're going to see more of Jesus Sanchez in left field for this upcoming series against the Royals?
Who are they facing? Is it going to be they get a lefty?
I can tell you in 2 seconds. I know Seth Lugo, Randy Dobnak, Noah Cameron, 2 righties and a lefty.
So I bet you he doesn't play against the lefty. I bet you he gets 1 DH and 1 left field. Okay. I don't know. I think like me and you came on and we like we used the reactionary phrase DFA last time we talked about Jesus Sanchez. I think it was never going to be that. Like
no, of course
like
not.
It like you and I come on and like we come on a little bit hot like when we record these pods, like pretty much directly following games. And yeah, it was, the defense is just horrendous, man. Like that hasn't changed, but like big league front offices and big league coaching staffs aren't going to change their opinions on guys based on one game. And I know it's been a long season of like really bad defense from Jesus Sanchez, but like they already knew he sucked at it, and him just like continuing to suck is just more proof of concept. It's confirmation bias. Like we expect him to suck. He does suck. But they know that. So that, like, they're probably going to try and hide him even more now.
I will say one more thing before we get into the series here. Max Scherzer set to take the mound in game 1 of the series. I can almost guarantee you Jesus Sanchez will not be in left field with Max Scherzer on the mound in game 1.
Yeah, I don't know.
Max Scherzer, I think he'll pull a Cam Schlittler and refuse to go onto the mound if he sees Jesus Sanchez out there in left field. Probably not actually, but I'd like to think so.
No, it's like when parents are coming up with like baby names and like each one gets like 3 vetoes. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like John Schneider gives the lineup to Max Scherzer. He's like, no, I'm vetoing Jesus Sanchez in the outfield in this one. I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna pitch in front of that. I don't blame him.
I would love to see that. That's why I have Max Scherzer, post-playing career, if he ever does become like a bench coach or something, like I almost feel bad for whatever manager has to run things by Max Scherzer, because that would be really tough.
Max Scherzer is going to be the best D2 college coach of all time. Like just college pitching coach.
I would love to see it. Like it gives me some. They're completely different players, but like Zach Greinke vibes. And I'm going to share a quick Zach Greinke story, which you're minute 53 of this pod, you're going to sucker through it. But I remember one time there was a hitter. I think this was when Greinke was with the Diamondbacks, and I forget the hitter, but he was really struggling. Zach Greinke goes, "Come on, I think I figured out what your problem is." So he pulls him down to the video room, shows a video, loads up a video of Zach Greinke hitting a home run, and just goes, "I want you to do that more," and left. So Zach Greinke's a legend. I can see Max Scherzer, different player, different vibes, but maybe being along that vein of coach going forward.
No, I totally agree. I think Max is probably one of those guys where like he does it and he understands it so well, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to communicate it to others. And that's why he's perfect for D2. He's like, guys, just figure it out, work harder, like that's going to be his vibe. I think that's going to be his thing.
Yeah, swing harder, swing better. One more thought, Owen. It was Players Weekend across Major League Baseball. We saw the Blue Jays do a bunch of cool stuff with their gear. Alejandro Kirk with the cool chest protector really popped out on stage. Did you see anything you liked from the Players Weekend stuff for the Blue Jays here?
I'm kind of sad what they've done with Players Weekend. I think they took away the nicknames on the jersey, which I think was like the exciting part about it. Like that was like even like as a kid when the NBA was doing that kind of stuff, that stuff was always so cool, man. Like I want to see the nicknames, and this is a broader sports conversation. Maybe we can sneak it in just a little bit. Guys don't have cool enough nicknames anymore, and that's why they stopped doing it. We have to continue to give guys nicknames. Seeing Louis Varland coming out with the committee on the back of his jersey in 77, come on, dude. Would that not have been so sick? But like other guys, they just don't have awesome nicknames.
Yeah, I'm just going to be really fascinated when Peyton Williams gets up here, how in the world they're going to fit the Iowa meat truck on the back of a jersey. I think that would be really fun. But I agree, you know, there were some times when there were some cool nicknames. Like I remember the Punisher, the Crime Dog was some cool nicknames. Yeah. Like, you know, it can be iconic. It can be more fun. And I do agree. We need more better
like
nicknames
Doc Halliday,
in there.
man. Like
Doc was fantastic. I even called Ross Stripling Chicken Strip for a while, you know, like it can happen, and we need a little bit more. We love the committee for like Louis Varland, like you said. There should be some better ones going forward.
I had a TikTok that did like really well, and it was just me after the bar on a Saturday night with my buddy in 3 Days Grace playing in the background, and my buddy's giving me the velo slap, and I cut it up with like Louis Varland clip of him taking the velo slap. It did really well on TikTok. It's funny, man. Louis Varland's the man. I love him so much.
Incredible. Shout out to 3 Days Grace. Great band from my neck of the woods near here, near Belleville. They're up in Norwood. So great tune. Love them. Good stuff. Glad they're a big part of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, man. So moral of the story, bring back nicknames. You ready to preview this Royals series and get out of here?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All righty. So you already read out the starters. I'm going to read them again for the people that maybe had tuned out and were waiting for us to finish our yapping. It's going to be Max Scherzer going up against Seth Lugo, old head versus old head. That's kind of fun, actually. Shane Bieber looking to stay hot against Randy Dobnak. Spencer Arrighetti, probably in a bulk role. I would assume maybe an opener in front of him against Noah Cameron. Royals actually been sneaky hot. They've been winning baseball games. They've also been playing really bad teams, and the Detroit Tigers, they're coming off a series win against, have been crumbling. The lack of pitching getting to them. You got to win the series. We talked about the schedule lightening up. This is it. It's here. Yep. The Kansas City Royals are in last place in the AL Central. They're 58-74. They suck. Unfortunately, they're 9-1 in their last 10 and are on an 8-game win streak. So cool them off. They're due to lose, right?
Yeah, I agree. The teams they played, you said bad teams, Tigers, A's, and Angels for reference. You know, none of those are bad really teams. Good. Right. And the teams they played before that were the Cubs and Dodgers, and they went 1-5 against them. So that sounds a lot more par for the course for the Kansas City Royals. The Blue Jays need to play good here. I have this big fear, Owen, that the Blue Jays are going to play so well against the Rays, the Yankees, and the Red Sox, and we're going to be right there. And then we have this easy schedule, should be a cakewalk, and then they fall on their ass. And I'm so worried that that's going to happen here. So the Blue Jays need to prove me wrong. Go out, set the tone early. Get out early and often on Kansas City. Show them you are a better team. Make your statement early on, because not the worst thing, but it'd be quite awful if they fall down, they lose game one, for example, and then they got to fight and they got to crawl and they got to scrap again. I think getting out to a big lead, especially early, like they did against the Tampa Bay Rays, will be very important for the Blue Jays here this series.
Totally agree. You're playing in front of your crowd at the Rogers Center, in front of what's going to be 40,000 people, man. Like, these people in Toronto, like, we are just so desperate for this team to get hot. The people love this Blue Jays team. They want to cheer for a good Blue Jays team. The tickets are already sold. The building's going to be full. Give them something to cheer for.
I agree. The dollar hot dogs will be going. Like, it's going to be a party up there. I'm just trying to find the stats real quick of Seth Lugo versus the Blue Jays. They've been good. So, you know, Blue Jays are going to have to, he's 3-1 with the ERA at 2.52, but Seth Lugo is not that pitcher anymore. The Blue Jays got to find a way to get.
You don't know about Brett Bateman.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Charles McAdoo, Brett Bateman. You know, Seth Lugo is one of these pitchers that does throw the kitchen sink approach. He throws things around. We've seen that type of pitcher have success against the Toronto Blue Jays before. The Blue Jays got to flip the script here and get out and get off to a good start early. And let's finally, Owen, is this going to happen? Is this the series Vlad hits a home run at home?
Yep.
Okay. thank God. I was tempted to say no, so I'm gonna trust your judgment and say yes. It finally happens. Thank God.
No, he's getting one. I hope you enjoyed listening to this version or this episode of the Jay Center podcast. Had a ton of fun recording it. A little bit more fun if they had won the series, but it is what it is. If you did enjoy, please give us a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. You can find Jesse and I on social media. You can check out jcenter.com. Tons of great articles, great videos, tons of content up there for you. And Jesse, of course, thank you, my man.
No problem. Shout out to the Blue Jays who will be playing in the Little League Classic next year. We will dive further about what that means going forward after next episode.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah. So the Little League Classic that was playing tonight between the Brewers and the Atlanta Braves. Rob Manfred was on there and announced that the next Little League Classic will feature the Toronto Blue Jays and Chicago Cubs. It'll technically be a Toronto Blue Jays home game. I don't know how that will work. So whether they'll play the first 2 games of the series in Toronto, then go somewhere to play the Little League Classic. I'm not sure where it is, but we'll get more details going forward.
So only 80 at the Rogers Center next year. That's bullshit. Okay. Well, on that note, we're going to end this podcast. I was excited that we got, it's like when the Raptors get like national TV games, or we were scheduled for a Sunday night baseball game for the Jays. They bumped us off of that. Anyways, like it's like people are excited for that kind of stuff because you get the national recognition. That's awesome. But then I hear that it's taking away a game from the Rogers Center. That's awful. Anyways, we'll talk next time on the Jay Center podcast. We'll talk soon.